A human baby was abandoned in the ice until a dragon came to his rescue. Beginning, the abandoned child. The blizzard howled across the desolate ice field of Falmer, a frozen world where few dare to tread. The wind carried knives of frost, burying all sound beneath its endless roar. Beneath this white fury lay a bundle wrapped in ragged cloth, no larger than a loaf of bread. A human baby, left alone to perish. His cries were faint, nearly drowned in the wind. The bundle had been left near the edge of a glacier crevasse, perhaps placed there on purpose. No mother or father remained in sight. Only endless snow. Yet fate is not always silent. High above, the storm split as a massive shadow cut across the sky. A dragon, wings vast enough to block the pale sun, soared through the storm. Unlike the mythical beasts of old Earth legends, this dragon was not born of magic, but of evolution. A creature native to Falmer, adapted to thrive in cold where no other great beast could live. Its scales shimmered like frozen steel, glimmering with blue light. Her name was Kilira, one of the last frost dragons that roamed the world. She descended, drawn by the faintest cry of life. When her talons touched the ice, the baby's weak whimper pierced the storm. Kilira lowered her massive head, her breath spilling clouds of vapor across the ground. Her icy blue eyes focused on the fragile form, fragile beyond comprehension. The child should not have lived another minute in this storm. Yet Kilira, though she had hunted humans before, defended her kind against their machines, did not crush him. Something stirred within her, something that had long been buried since the death of her own hatchling seasons ago. Instead of death, she chose life. With a gentle movement, the dragon scooped the bundle into the crook of her claw, shielding him against the wind with the arc of her wing. She opened her mouth, not to unleash frost, but to release a warm exhalation, a heat drawn from deep within her core. The snow melted around them. The baby quieted, his tiny eyes blinking against the storm. Thus began a bond no one in the galaxy would ever believe. Middle, the dragon's son. Kilira carried the baby back to her lair, a cavern carved deep into a mountainside of glacial stone. Her den was lined with crystals that glowed faintly with absorbed sunlight, casting hues of blue and green against the walls. Here, warmth from volcanic veins beneath the mountain kept the cold at bay. The child thrived. Kilira brought him food, small animals thawed by her breath, roots uncovered from the permafrost, and later, supplies stolen from nearby human outposts when she dared fly close. She named him in her own tongue, a low, resonant sound that echoed in her chest, Aerith. It meant spark in the old language of dragons. As Aerith grew, he came to see the dragon not as a monster, but as mother, guardian, and companion. He learned to walk along the slick cavern floors, always under the watchful gaze of those massive, ice-hued eyes. He learned to speak by mimicking her deep rumbling tones, and later, the scraps of human language she stole from overheard traders. Years passed, and the boy grew strong despite his impossible beginning. His skin was always pale, touched by the frost of his birthplace, and his hair shimmered faintly silver as though the ice itself had claimed him. He could endure cold that would kill other humans. His body carried a resilience unnatural to his kind, perhaps shaped by exposure to dragon fire, perhaps destiny. Yet the outside world was not silent. Human colonists had come to Falmer decades before, mining its rare crystals and building scattered settlements across the snow. They had long feared dragons, whose power could topple ships and rend machines. Dragon hunting had become both survival and sport. One evening, as Aerith perched atop Kilira's back while she soared across the icy plains, he saw it. A band of human hunters armed with plasma rifles, their ships leaving burning scars on the snow. They had found her trail. "Mother," Aerith whispered, clinging to her scales, "they're hunting you again." Kilira's voice thundered within his mind, for dragons spoke not only with words but with thoughts. "They will always hunt us, child, but you are not like me. You belong to both worlds." Aerith shook his head. "I belong with you." But fate was not so easily bent. Conflict, the discovery. The hunters struck at dawn. Plasma bolts seared the mountain, collapsing part of the cavern's entrance. Kilira shielded Aerith with her wings, roaring as fire and ice clashed. For the first time, Aerith saw humans up close, faces hidden behind visors, weapons glowing. He stumbled into the light, shouting, "Stop! Don't hurt her! She's my mother." The hunters froze. At first, they thought him hallucination, a wild boy raised in the snow. Then recognition spread. A missing child, abandoned years ago, had become a legend among colonists. The boy of the blizzard. By the stars! one hunter murmured. That's him. The leader raised his rifle. Stand aside, boy. That thing's a monster. Aerith spread his arms. She saved me when you left me to die. She's no monster. The hunters hesitated, but only for a moment. The corporations that funded their expeditions paid richly for dragon kills. Scales, blood, and bone, all valuable. The battle erupted. Kilira swept hunters aside with her tail, shards of ice exploding from her breath. But numbers overwhelmed even her power. Plasma scorched her wings. Bolts struck her chest. She staggered, collapsing against the cavern walls. Aerith screamed, his voice raw with fury and grief, and something within him ignited. From his mouth, a plume of frost burst forth, not as vast as dragons, but real. The hunters froze where they stood, encased in ice. Silence fell. The boy collapsed beside Kilira, trembling. The dragon looked at him with fading strength. My spark, you are more than human. My fire runs in you. Her breath faltered, steam rising weakly from her nostrils. No! Aerith cried, clutching her snout. You can't leave me. But Kilira's body shuddered, and though her eyes still glowed, the light dimmed. Before her death, she whispered into his mind. Live, Aerith. Carry me in your blood. The bond between dragon and human is not broken. It begins with you. Her final breath stirred the snow. The cavern fell silent. Climax. The rise of the dragon child. Aerith buried her beneath the mountain ice, carving runes with his bare hands, tears freezing against his cheeks. But grief hardened into resolve. He was not merely a boy abandoned. He was Kilira's son, chosen and transformed. Word of him spread quickly, the frost child who breathed dragon fire. Some humans feared him, others sought to capture or exploit him. Many whispered that he was proof of genetic fusion between human and dragon, an abomination to be studied. But to Aerith, none of that mattered. He carried his mother's will. Over the years, he honed his power. The frost breath grew stronger, his endurance unmatched. He learned to ride the storms as Kilira once had, gliding across the winds with wings crafted from crystal shards, his invention, blending human technology with dragon instinct. When hunters came again, he did not hide. He stood before them, half human, half dragon, a guardian of the wild. You call her a monster, he declared, his voice echoing across the ice fields. But she had more mercy than any of you. This land belongs to dragons, and I will not let her kin be hunted to extinction. And with that, he unleashed his fury. Frost storms that shattered ships, winds that drove colonists from sacred lands. Not to slaughter, but to protect. Aerith became legend. To settlers, he was the dragonborn of Falmer. To the dragons that remained hidden in the icy peaks, he was proof that coexistence was possible, that perhaps their kind would not vanish after all. Ending the legacy of Kilira. Years later, when Aerith was grown into a man with silver hair and eyes of frost, he returned to the cavern where Kilira had died. He placed his hand on the frozen stone, whispering, I kept your promise, mother. The spark lives on. Behind him, the horizon shimmered as new dragon wings filled the skies. Creatures no longer hunted to extinction, for fear of the frostborn guardian who defended them. Children of humans grew up hearing not of monsters, but of the dragon who saved a baby and raised him as her own. And sometimes, when the storms grew too quiet, travelers swore they heard it. The faint echo of a dragon's roar carried across the wind, and a boy's laughter riding beside it. For on Thalmor, the bond between human and dragon would never die. It had begun with a baby abandoned in the ice, and a dragon who chose to rescue him.